Askreddit thread. What is an underrated slash forgotten TV show and why? Soap. It is hard to imagine this show was in the 70s. Soap. It's a soap opera, I guess. Just watched Clone High. My god, the writing is brilliant, and there are tons of subtle jokes. I would highly recommend watching it. No one knows about it because it was produced in 2002, and due to Indian hunger strikes, it had to be shut down. Still funny as hell. Clone High. I think I remember seeing this. Due to hunger strikes, it had to be shut down. No, I don't remember. I just remember the art style, I guess. It's been so long, but I'll never forget the line. Did you see the pool? They flipped the bitch. They're rioting at a college level. For anyone else reading, it's from the creators of 21 Jump Street and Lego Movie, as well as the guy who made Scrubs. Almost the entire voice cast is people you'll know. That show didn't get anywhere near left love. So many oblique jokes and quotes. It was tailor-made for the Reddit crowd to latch onto. Had it come out 10 years later, I'm certain it would be a mainstay. That's what bugs me. The exact same show could have come out this year, completely unchanged, and people would be going crazy over it, just like they are for BoJack and Rick and Morty. Clone High was so ahead of its time. Wow. Comparing it to BoJack and Rick and Morty, that's something else, because BoJack and Rick and Morty are great. Party Down. Great show, great actors, ended too early. If you haven't seen it and you're looking for a good comedy, give it a shot. Party Down. That looks stupid. One nice thing is the majority of the cast went on to do a lot of fun things. And if Party Down hadn't ended, we may not have gotten Ben Watt on Parks and Rec. Lane Lynch left to play her role in Glee. I don't like the show, but it was a huge boost to Jane Lynch's career. Are we having fun yet? Dead Like Me. Fantastic American comedy / drama series from around the 2003s. Filmed in Canada about a girl who was killed in a freak accident and hangs around with a group of her other dead people and discovers she is a Grim Reaper. I didn't see it when it was originally broadcast, but I saw the DVD box set in a local shop recently and I bought it. I thought it was great. PM me your kidneys. What a great username. Dead Like Me. That sounds like an interesting concept for a show. News Radio. I watch it once a year and it still cracks me up. Great ensemble. Cast. Just genius. Phil Hartman. Enough said. News Radio. Search Google for News Radio. Okie dokes. Harvey Birdman, attorney at law. Did you get the thing I sent you? No, I did not get that thing you sent me. I'm starting to wonder if you even sent me that thing. You didn't get that thing I sent you? Shake hands, kiss baby, shake hands, kiss baby, shake baby, kiss hands. I watched every Hanna-Barbera cartoon as a kid, including the Laugh Olympics. Haven't recalled them since. Well, heard Baba Bo every now and then on Stern. 20 years later, I could sleep one night and channel flipped. I saw Seben humping Ongi Doggy. Took less than 3 seconds for a show to make me laugh. Instant fan. They one up me too because I was a Phoenix Wright fan. I saw the game on the shelf. Freakazoid, internet jokes, Monty Python-esque humor, chubby little fanboys, all before Windows 98 was out. Will usually be cited as an example of a show ahead of its time. The voice actors, oh wow, the voice actors. Andrea Romano does it again. And the one-liners, most people your age die, why won't you? I found a bowl, good for me, referring to old point-and-click adventure games. Revenge is a dish best served with pinto beans and rice. Said by Khan himself, the writers had a field day with him. If Adult Swim existed back then, this show would have made it. Hero Boy, forever, I must succeed. Better Off Ted. I thought it was really enjoyable and had a lot of great jokes. Really sad it got canned. This one sounds familiar. Better Off Ted. Life is sweet for a young man who runs the research and development department at Viridian Technologies until he starts taking a look at his company's extremely questionable business practices. The company's motto is money before people, and its executives do their best to live up to it. Phil. Linda, you can't hurt the baby. Well, you can hurt them. They're not indestructible. I meant it's morally indefensible. Well, what if the baby killed a man? You and your moral puzzles. I just love them. I've introduced this show to a lot of people and never had anybody not like it. Easily one of my favorites. The Viridian dynamic commercials are amazing. Friendship. It's the same as stealing. Okay, this actually sounds like a pretty funny show. Wonder where I can watch that at. I like amoral people who are part of a comedy. It wasn't marketed well. I wrote it off when it was on as being another shitty ABC sitcom and didn't see anything that grabbed my interest in the commercials. However, once it was recommended by Netflix as a similar show to others I've been watching, I was pleasantly surprised. I just wish it had been in time to try and watch live and add one viewer. I rewatch the show frequently. I'll take a look at that later. The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. Such a hilarious and fun show. Yep, definitely filled my need for a light-hearted, quirky western. Sounds dumb. Black Books. I've rewatched it at least 3 times. Incredibly funny British comedy. Your constant smoking has destroyed all of your taste buds. Don't be ridiculous. What's that you're eating? It's some sort of delicious biscuit. It's a coaster. It is? Are there more? The older the wine, the gooder. That was the first show my SO and I watched together. I will always have a special place in my heart. Spaced. Oh, looks like they named it too. Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, Edgar White. The same guys who did Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz. Amazing show. I just wish they made more of it. Spaced. Oh. I like those guys. They make funny movies. Dead Like Me. To those of you who discover the show for the first time, you make it through this series and see there's a movie. Awesome, you think. More show. No, it's not awesome. Let the last episode of the show be the last you see of the show. Do yourself a favor. I found Dead Like Me on TV one day. Whatever channel it was had a marathon, playing all 2 seasons back to back. I was so cut when I found out it was cancelled. They really should have done what Firefly did and wrapped it up with a good movie. They'd have to do it right, though. You'd have to bring everyone back, especially Mandy Patinkin. You'd have to have a Dead Like Me movie without Rube, and they'd have to remember the canon established in the series. They'd probably want to stick to the storylines, too, and maybe even button up some of the questions they left open. Because if they went off and abandoned Rube, brought in a whole bunch of unlikable assholes portrayed by shitty actors in place of good characters and a talented cast, changed the rules of the whole goddamn series and wrote a plot that nobody gave 2 shits about, the resulting mess would be so reviled to the fan base that they'd likely just go ahead and pretend it doesn't exist in the first place. They did wrap it up in a movie. The movie was just kind of crappy at it. Also, I'm an idiot. If you love Inside Out, Hurtman's Head, it was a 90s TV show about a guy working in an office. From time to time, you'd see what his feelings were thinking. It was also starred Hank Azaria and Yardley Smith, who later on went to do The Simpsons. Okay, The Simpsons was on when the show was on. Oh, and they almost continued the show by giving him a girlfriend whose emotions we would also get to see. Sad they didn't do that. They were already doing The Simpsons when Herman's Head came out. Forever without a single doubt. It's such a fantastic show and made me laugh like no other show ever did. They, ABC, canceled this show after 1 fucking season, but other shit shows continue with less viewers. I really want it back. I miss Henry Morgan. Save forever. Duckman, Pushing Daisies. A victim of the writer's strike. I remember the creator, Brian Fuller, saying in an interview that he was going to continue the story in a comic book form, but I guess he got too busy with other shows. I thought they could end it with Chuck dying again, but someone else with Ned's power bringing her back to life, so I don't know about this. I'd have to read about this stupid show. Jericho. I would say Airy, Indiana, and Get a Life starring Chris Elliott. Snuffbox. It is a really awesome comedy show, but also really bizarre. Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. I don't even know how to describe it, just watch it. Tour of Duty. I hate people who just put like a name and don't describe anything. Reaper was the shit. American Gothic. Scary and exciting. Got canceled after a couple of seasons, I think. Misfit. British comedy/drama. Get a Life. It was a comedy series that aired on Fox back in the early 90s. Starred Chris Elliott as an adult male who lived at home with his parents and still had the mindset of a child. He had a few kid friends, rode a bicycle everywhere, and even had a childish job, paper route. It had a great, awesome intro featuring Elliott riding a bicycle and delivering papers to Ramstand. Get a Life. That sounds pretty funny. Duckman, a brilliant adult animated show produced by the same people that made Rugrats, All Little Monsters, etc. Happy endings. This won't be seen, but the fact that no one mentioned Police Squad means it's the perfect answer to this thread. The Young Ones. If you don't know it, find it. British Three Stooges, but 4 gents and awesome. Lie to Me. I like the concept very much, and Cal was a pleasure to watch. Too bad it got canceled. I like the concept, but it was procedural, so it became predictable and boring so fast. House managed the same format for 9 seasons. Personally, I love both of them. There's something great about the arrogant genius lead messing with people. Psych fits the mouth in a strange way, though. The mold in a strange way, too. Psych, I should probably watch Psych. I remember I watched the first episode of Lie to Me on Netflix, and it was so bad, it pissed me off. Just because I know more than the average person about psychology. And Lie to Me was basically about these people who could tell if people were lying based on, like, social cues and facial features and shit like that. And if you know anything about psychology, you know that's bullshit. Even the people who think they're the best at judging people, if they're lying or not, have no more than a 50% chance at guessing if someone's lying or not. It's not something that's... my God. It's a TV show, I guess. You should cut it some slack, but it was just too much. They just kept doing too many leaps of faith and making it seem like they had superpowers. It's basically like a superpower show, but they try to pass it off as legitimate psychological things you could possibly do if you just had the knowledge. I couldn't stand it. It was like, oh my god, this is so fucking cheesy. Life with Louie. It was very popular here in Poland. Whoa, Babylon 5. Amazing show, way ahead of its time. Shot on cinematic film, 16:3 ratio when most televisions wouldn't even come close to widescreen. For me, it's either Flash Forward or Reaper. Reaper was just tons of fun to watch with friends. It was about 3 bachelors living together, working bullshit jobs and fighting demons, and was always a good laugh. Sounds pretty funny. Flash Forward had me hooked and waiting for the next season every week. Unfortunately, it didn't make it past 1 season. Utopia, one of the best pieces of cinematography in TV. Father Ted, brilliant Irish comedy about 3 priests stuck in remote island Parish. Father Ted looks/endures after a drunk priest, a moronic priest, and a housekeeper with an obsession with tea. Alright, I'm going to stop reading the ones that don't give out any info on them. Let's see, Wonder Falls. It only had 1 season. Another Brian Fuller show that was probably a little too quirky/out there for Fox. I watched it a few months ago, and it had just gotten better. Coupling. Edit. It's hilarious. TV series, 2000-2004. One of the best comedy series I've ever watched. Oh, crap. Let's see. Men Behaving Badly. I'm American, and somehow ended up watching several seasons of that. I think via BBC America, though. It's been so long I don't even remember. Over a decade ago, and I still remember how hilarious it was. Alright, let's actually talk about the show Home Movies. So it's an interesting show. It was essentially a cartoon with improvised dialogue. The animation is super rough, but it starts to grow on you. I remember Home Movies. They show that sometimes on Adult Swim. That's pretty great. Freaks and Geeks. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go. The Sarah Connor Chronicles. It had the misfortune of being on Fox, which has a history of canceling good sci-fi. They have a history of canceling everything. Let's see. Fringe. It was an extremely underrated show that was produced by J.J. Abrams. It started out as a procedural sci-fi show with the Monsters of the Week formula, but by the second season there was already a deep lore that involved the entire other universes. This was all supported by an incredible cast that clearly loved what they were doing. It's currently all on Netflix, and if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest you do so ASAP. Fun fact, in Germany, the TV station which aired Fringe had the idea to promote the show with a fake news story. They used their news show studio, the logo, and even the real news reader to make it seem real. Didn't went so well because they had to pay a fine for deceiving the viewers into believing it was real. That's hilarious. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Star Trek Deep Space Nine receives little attention today despite it being an adept subversion of classic Star Trek. Something more recent iterations have tried and failed at. It featured morally gray main characters, often committing questionable acts, and featured multi-season story arcs when that was rare. Sounds pretty good. Daria. As much as I would love to see that character in a college setting, it ended at the perfect time. A sitcom called Just Shoot Me. I liked it at the time, and it was on TV, but nobody I talked to remembers it. China, Illinois by Brad Neely. For me, it was one of the funniest Adult Swim animation series, even though I think the Brad Neely shorts on YouTube from the series before the series were a bit funnier. Let's see. Mama's Family. I remember being about 5 to 6 years old and asking to stay up to 11 p.m. to watch it every night. I had a huge crush on Naomi. Eureka. Eureka's was sci-fi highest rated show ever until Warehouse 13 started and ran for 5 seasons. Pretty sure that doesn't qualify as forgotten or underrated. Becker. Ted Danson as a chain-smoking, outwardly misanthropic doctor who runs a clinic for low-income people. I loved Becker. It was one of my favorite shows. The Drew Carey Show isn't quite forgotten, but I can't seem to find it anywhere. Shasta McNasty. Millennium. Really liked the tone of the series. Burn Notice. Wrote it out to the end. I loved it, but I can definitely see why it turned a lot of people away. To some, all the side jobs he took on per episode seemed to become repetitive. Also, when he'd get the main bad guy, lo and behold, there was an even badder guy to get next. It fell into a cycle of bullshit. That being said, I think everyone should watch it. The narration adds an awesome experience and the comedy is pretty well paced. No. Let's see. WKRP in Cincinnati. More forgotten than underrated. Not too surprising since I'm going back to the late 70s here. If nothing else, find the episode from the first season that is about the turkeys. Drawn Together. It was such a fucked up and hilarious cartoon that they canceled it. First episode I found on Netflix and I was hooked. Movie was crapped, but man, the show was so far off the chart. Loved it. Let's see. Now and again. John Goodman gets hit by a train and rebuilt into a super soldier. The villain is an old Asian man with poisonous eggs. Okay. Lex. It was fucking insane. Like an organic version of Star Trek with fetishes and quirky, dark Canadian German humor made in the 90s. Here's a Wikipedia quote on it. The show's seasons had very different tones. While the original TV movies in the second season were mostly science fiction drama with plenty of dark comedy, the Fire and Water season took a more serious tone, while the show's final season, set on Earth in the year 2000, took many turns into pure farce and introduce magic, as in the episode A Midsummer's Nightmare, and other new elements. So you kind of have to watch the whole thing to appreciate it, I suppose. Here's a picture of the U.S. president with the first baby and the Pope. What? Wait, what? The first lady and the Pope. Not long after, a giant plant woman eats Japan, and we learn the mass of the Higgins boson. Even though I eagerly awaited every episode, I can't really say I'm a fan of where they went in the second and third season. The first season, though, was gold. Fourth season was flat out hilarious. They just went full batshit, and you ended up with a sodomizing alien carrot invasions, Oberon trying to marry Stan, Priest as president blowing up Cuba, and fucking Pope Gerauda. And then out of nowhere, the last episode, and fucking Prince pulling the absolute magnificent bastard's monkey paw move on Kai. It was glorious. Okay, this sounds ridiculous in a hilarious way.